Hey, what's up guys? Let's see together 5 questions you can ask at the end of an interview to leave the best impression possible, which will lead hopefully to a job offer at the end. And stick around because at the end of this video, I'll give you 20 bonus questions you can ask to stand out from other random interviewees. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll talk about it at the end of this video. But before we start, let's change the camera angle. Hey, let's dive into it with the first question you can ask. What can I expect in my first year at Company X? I ask this question quite often, and the best reaction so far that I got from an interviewer was last week. He said, "Wow, good question. It shows me you care about the job." And that made me think he's right. Because it shows that you don't want any job. It shows that you're carefully evaluating your options so that you find the perfect job for you. And it's only logic. A company doesn't want to invest in you and then you leave super quick. So it saves time for everyone because you know what to expect when you start at this job, but the company knows and is comfortable with you because they already told you what you can expect. So if you accepted the offer, it means that you think that the job is a fit. So by asking this question, you create a win-win situation for everyone. So don't forget to mention it. Next question. What's one quality successful people at Company X have? So what do you think the interviewer will think if you ask this kind of question? Well, it's kind of easy because successful people wants to know what other successful people do so that they can replicate them. By asking this question, you show your eagerness to not only be a normal employee, but be among the top performers, and everyone wants that, right? So the interviewer will know that you want to be among the best, but you will also gain valuable insights for you, because if he mentions a quality that you don't have, well, you can invest wisely in yourself so that you can get this quality before you start at this job. And better, if you already have this quality, well, it's a clear clue that you have to showcase this quality during this interview, your next interview maybe, but also when you start at this job. For example, last week I had another interview, and when I asked this question to the lady, she told me that the best candidates are kind and like to work in teams. And it just gave me hope because now I can expect that if I work for this company, that I will work with people who like to work together, who like to meet at the office and just help each other in projects. And now I know that if I want to showcase that I'm among the best candidates or the best employees, I have to showcase that I'm a good team member. Moving on to the third question, what's one current challenge your team is facing right now? This question is more for you than the interviewer. I mean, yes. Probably the first thing the interviewer will think of you if you ask this question is, damn, he's not even hired and he wants to know the future problems that he will encounter when he starts? Which is always good, right? It's also great for you, especially if you ask this question in your first interview, because in between interviews, you can look for possible solutions or any ideas that you can bring up in your next interview. Have you ever heard of the phrase show, don't tell? Well, it's great to say that you have a particular skill. For example, you can code in JavaScript. It's also greater if you can show a clear example that you handle the skill. For example, you show an app that you've built with JavaScript. But it's also greater if you can solve a current real-life problem in your future team with this particular skill. So you're clearly showing and not just telling that you handle JavaScript. I hope it's clear. Next question, what's your favorite part about working at Company X? This time, this question is more for the interviewer and not for you. Because people just love talking about themselves, and that's why I always try to break the format in an interview where the interviewer just asks me a question, I respond, and on and on and on. I hate that because I want the conversation to be fluid. I want him to open up, to tell me personal things so that we can have a deeper conversation. When you have a deeper conversation, the interviewer will most likely remember you versus just another one where he just went through the list of questions that he had. Also, the interesting part is that if the interviewer just speaks for like 15 minutes about how he loves the company, well, it gives you clear insight that the company is probably great. But if he's like, yeah, I like this or that, like you can sense his emotions. So if you see that he has some trouble to explain to you why he loves working there, well, you might want to do some research about this company to make sure you really want to work for them. And last question, what are the next steps of the interview process? There's nothing worse than leaving an interview and you don't know about the next steps. I mean, there are some other worse things in life, but I'll have to think about it. By asking this question, it shows that you're eager to move on to the next steps and to know if you will have the chance to work at this company. And companies, recruiters, and the interviewer want that kind of people. They want to hire people who are excited about the role, about his future responsibilities, and not someone who just doesn't care. But it's also good for you when you ask this question, because if he says you can expect an answer within a week, boom, you have your timeline, you know when to follow up. So after a week, if you don't hear anything, it's safe to follow up without looking like a freak. I made 2 videos about when to follow up and how to follow up, so you can find links in the description. Those are 5 of the best questions that I personally like to ask at the end of an interview. But you know you hit the jackpot when you ask a particular question and then the interviewer pause and then say, that's a good question. So, like I said, I have a list of 20 additional bonus questions that you can ask at the end of an interview to set you apart from other interviewees who are not prepared or who just like ask random questions just to ask questions, and just to give the best impression possible for your application. So if you want to grab the free guide, you can find a link in the description below. What questions do you usually ask, and what was the reaction of the interviewer? It's always funny. Tell me in the comment section below. If you learned anything in this video, hit the like button and subscribe so that you won't miss any future videos like this one. I release a video every Thursday so that to help you in your job interviews and in your job search. So I'll see you next week.